It's Thursday, April 21. In the headlines, Prime Minister urges greater caution on the nation's roads. Jamaicans must plan for their retirement. Regionally, Prime Minister Rowley is calling for fair and unbiased cooperation between the U.S. and Caribbean banks. In sports, CWI thanks Pollard for his time with West Indies cricket. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Holness has defended his government's decision to end the Disaster Risk Management Act, the DRMA, to control the spread of COVID-19. He notes that concerns and complaints were floating across the island, but said it was difficult to utilize the DRMA as a means of managing the pandemic.
Disaster Risk Management Act is designed to do just that. It gave government executive powers to act in a disaster. I think we have been in a state of disaster for a very long time, and therefore, in a sense, it has become now a new normal. And becoming a new normal, our society is, yes, governed by law more than anything else, but our society is also governed by rational people behaving responsibly.
He's reminding Jamaicans to seek out the right information and says his government will not compromise the freedom of the people.
What we have said is we're giving advice, we are strongly recommending that you wear your mask, you sanitize, you maintain social distance, and you exercise a degree of caution. You're going somewhere you're not certain of, act with due regard. It takes nothing off you in wearing your mask. There are no fashion statements and nobody looks at you strangely until the scientific evidence is that the pandemic has passed. Up until now, the WHO has not said so. So we ought to maintain a certain level of vigilance, but that vigilance has to be exercised by the individual.
Maternity allowance, tax breaks, and peace of mind. Those are some of the benefits of planning your retirement. Director of the National Insurance Scheme in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Portia Magnus, and financial advisor from Sagicor, Ainsworth Clacken, spoke about these and other benefits of retirement schemes in the upcoming PBCJ Presents. Here's more in this report. All persons between the ages of 18 to 70 who are gainfully occupied in insurable employment are required to be registered with the NIS. Director of the National Insurance Scheme, Portia Magnus, says the insurable population includes employed persons, self-employed persons, and voluntary contributors.
And we also have a suite of what we call employment injury benefits. We have an invalidity pension, a retirement pension. Most persons don't have the retirement pension. We also have what we call dependent spouse allowance, which twins with the retirement benefit and invalidity pension. We have survivor's benefit for both adults and children up to 18 years.
In Jamaica, the usual retirement age is 65, and based on the new Pension Act, where early retirement can be an option. Sagicor's Ainsley Clacking notes why people should prioritize life after retirement.
A lot of persons don't realize that when you reach 65 and you are retired, if the plans are not in place, it does add additional burden on you mentally. So that peace of mind to know that you can maintain your independence is also something that we consider very important.
Ms. Magnus explains that the micro or small business operators can contribute to the NIS. She offers a breakdown for individuals who are not in the usual salaried positions.
For a self-employed person, that really depends for the shopkeeper how much you would earn during the year. And that's so if you earn $1 million, if you earn 500,000, if you earn the 300,000, then the calculation would be done. So you earn 300,000, it's 6% of the 300,000 for the year. If you earn less than that, it is the same. However, if your earnings, now let's say you're one of the guys on the road that clean the windshields for us, and you get a little money from a little driver here and there, then the minimum contribution rate now kicks in at the $250 per week. So it really is based on your earnings, just that it is capped using the insurable wage ceiling and the contribution rate.
The NIS does not facilitate a big payout to beneficiaries after death, but the family or caregiver can receive a funeral grant.
Well, it keeps rolling over because NIS is redistributive in nature. But in terms of the contributions you would have made, then there's also the funeral grant. And so the person who pays the funeral expense.
You can watch the full episode of PBCJ Presents on Friday at 5:30 p.m. or you can catch it on our social media pages. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is cautioning road users to be extra vigilant while traversing the nation's roadways following a spate of traffic accidents over the last few days.
There is no need to be reckless. There is no need to be irresponsible. You will get to where you're going even if you drive a little bit slow, even if you drive with greater care, even if you stop and allow someone else to go. There is no need for this kind of abandonment of responsibility which we are seeing emerging post-pandemic. It is so sad to see the accidents that are happening and the loss of life and labor.
He says there will be greater enforcement of the new Road Traffic Act and has strong words for those riding bikes without helmets.
We don't want to hear about the system fighting against us. That's very tired and played out. It is stupid to ride a bike without a helmet, and that's what it is.
The Prime Minister was speaking at a groundbreaking event in the parish of Trelawney. Jamaicans should be able to enjoy their country's natural assets. That's the assertion made by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, as he says the Tourism Enhancement Fund will be providing the financial resources to upgrade designated public beaches for the enjoyment of Jamaicans. Mr. Holness highlighted some of the upgrades that will be seen at these beaches.
Each beach will be getting changing areas and restroom facilities, perimeter fencing and parking, gazebos, bandstands, children's play areas, seating, lighting, walkways, electricity, water and sewage treatment facilities. At minimum, but they made sure to put in the qualifier where applicable.
The Prime Minister says 3 beaches have benefited from these enhancements thus far, with several more being targeted, noting that Jamaicans must have access to these resources.
A lot of public beaches around the island. We hope to at least have one in every parish to ensure that our people can have the free access, benefit and use of what is theirs. We must ensure that we don't make the mistakes of the past, that we don't dispossess our people of their natural assets.
Additionally, Mr. Holness is encouraging investors to ensure that community members are involved in the development process and that their rights are also protected. The Prime Minister was speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the Rio Aquawell Resort in northern Trelawney held on April 20. The new resort is set for completion in 2023 and will be the 7th Rio hotel in Jamaica. A new Old Harbour fire station in St. Catherine is now officially opened. The new $59 million facility was officially opened during a ceremony on Tuesday. It boasts gender-specific bathrooms, male and female dormitories, a reception area, offices, and a recreational area. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Desmond McKenzie, in his address, says the government remains resolute in providing the members of the Jamaica Fire Brigade with tools to perform their duties safely and effectively.
A significant amount have been provided in this year's budget to finance the basic tools that are required, the gears, to make them able to respond.
Mr. McKenzie notes that with the recent acquisition of 30 new fire trucks, each station now has more than one unit to respond. The new facility is expected to serve approximately 35,000 persons in Old Harbour and its environs.
The 30 new trucks came into the island, and because of COVID, we never had any big fanfare in handing over the trucks. But every fire station in Jamaica have more than one fire truck. And it is the first time we can say without fear of contradiction that the Jamaica Fire Brigade is giving the attention that it so richly deserves.
Meanwhile, the minister informs that more fire stations will be opened to commemorate the country's 60th anniversary celebrations. Construction of new fire stations are set to be completed in Montego Bay, St. James, Port Maria, St. Mary, and Yallas, St. Thomas. The higher the risks, the higher your insurance premium. Orville Johnson from the Insurance Association of Jamaica explains in the Business Report. Of course, we also have your usual market updates from reporter Danita Rodney.
In the first 3.5 months of 2022, approximately 133 persons have died on the roads, a 5% increase from the last year. This is according to the latest reports from the Road Safety Unit. Speaking at Grenell's Defense Driving Workshop on Wednesday, Executive Director at Insurance Association of Jamaica, Orville Johnson, spoke of the main cause of fatal crashes.
We have to take road safety seriously. The Road Safety Unit reports that the main causes of the mayhem are excessive speeding and not keeping to the left of the road. These are all decisions that we make, They are decisions. So if we simply do the right thing, we can reduce fatalities, injury, and motor claims. We control our destiny.
He continued to speak on concerns of the increase in premium payments over the last few years.
We are concerned that the preliminary numbers in 2021 show that we paid out $14 billion in motor claims. And this is up on the $12.8 billion in 2020. An increase of over 9%. That's not good. And why it's particularly distressing is that we thought with the onset of COVID, the claims would have gone down with less activity.
Despite that, Mr. Johnson praised the company's initiative and explained to the taxi drivers gathered why it was good for them to attend.
I salute this initiative to teach taxi drivers defensive driving. And this will play a key role in reducing the fatalities and the mayhem on the road. Taxi premiums are high because you are more exposed than most persons on the road. I know sometimes you borrow them charge us so much. The average man drives his car from home to work and from work to home, and he does some things on the weekend or in the night. But you guys are on the road constantly, so the risk that is involved is why the premiums are higher.
He also spoke about technology that insurance companies use to track the driving behavior of clients to determine their premium rates.
Telematics, which is a way of fitting something to your car that tracks your driving behavior. Those things are now being used in developed societies by insurance companies and companies to track the driving behavior of clients. And you can get a reward or you can get a sanction, increased premiums. So increasingly, technology is going to be used to ensure that you stay on the straight and narrow.
He ended his greeting commending the Grenell School a second time for their initiative and expressed the IAG's continued support. At the pumps, as of Thursday, April 21, there will be an increase in gas and diesel prices. 87 and 90 octane gasoline will see a $3.06 increase and will be sold for $193.89 and $198.90 per liter respectively. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $202.70 per liter after a $4.50 increase. Continuing with the $4.50 increase, ultra-low sulfur diesel will be sold for $205.43 per liter, and kerosene will be sold for $175.55 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum, up by $3.06, will be sold for $80.50 per liter, and butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $91.17 per liter after an increase of $3.06. It is important to remember to be on the lookout for price changes, as marketing companies and retailers will add their own markups to these prices. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, April 20, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.66. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $124.97. The pound sterling traded for $203, and the euro sold for an average of $170.70. And the all-Jamaican Composite Index declined by 7,446 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 91 stocks, of which 40 advanced, 36 declined, and 15 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Cargo Handlers Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preference shares, and Caribbean Cream Limited. Kingston Wharves Limited was the volume leader with over 7 million units, followed by Mayberry Jamaican Equities Limited with over 5.5 million units, and Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 5 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the sole security trading over 124,000 shares. The Barbados Stock Exchange saw 0 securities trading on Wednesday. The cost of living may be on the rise again, as the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is projecting the highest price hike in decades. Bertoni McDermott from Our News Bahamas reports.
The International Monetary Fund is projecting consumer prices will increase by 7.3% this year. Prime Minister Philip Davis says the news didn't take him by surprise. He says his government is working to mitigate the impact on consumers.
We're looking at measures and initiatives now to do that. We are talking with shipping companies to lower the cost of freight coming in and to try to get discounts on containers. We've already successfully did that with one company, and we are now talking about how we could assist through the logistical supply chain to reduce costs in those areas.
The IMF's World Economic Outlook comes as Bahamians face rising fuel, food, and other prices, and as the country is still on the rebound following the global pandemic. The IMF's projected increase would be the highest annual percentage change in inflation since 1991, when consumer prices increased by 7.3%. Inflationary pressures are projected to see a lower increase in 2023 of 4.5%, before leveling out to pre-pandemic levels of 2.4% in 2027.
We're not surprised because a lot of the factors that inform the inflationary numbers are not of we can't control. We have no control of it.
His comments were echoed by Social Services and Urban Development Minister Obi Wilshcombe, who said government will increase social services assistance amid this grim revelation.
Yes, absolutely. The Prime Minister will unveil because we have to meet the needs of our people. These are situations that you didn't plan for, but the circumstances are what they are. Our job is to respond to them. We will.
Opposition member Kwesi Thompson also weighing in, saying the IMF report didn't take him by surprise. He offered a number of suggestions the Davis administration could implement to ease the burden on Bahamians. Topping that list, removing VAT from breadbasket items.
They have been consulting, but we are calling upon them to act. One easy, very quick thing that can be done is they can remove VAT off of bread basket items. That will have an immediate effect on the prices that people pay for food.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
In market data for oil price once again is on the rise. Brent crude futures rose $1.04 or 1% to $107.84 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude gained 61 cents or 0.6% to $102.80 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Keith Rowley is calling for fair and unbiased cooperation between the United States and Caribbean banks. TTT Live has the details.
The Prime Minister noted that too often Caribbean banks are stereotyped and put on a list for some wrongdoing that countries have not even participated in. Dr. Rowley gave the example where Trinidad and Tobago is not engaged in offshore banking but is treated otherwise.
I have seen on many occasions documentation assuming that because there's concern about offshore banking in one Caribbean island, well, you all are just guilty and dangerous. And what the banks are concerned about is that there are risks that could come from doing business with us.
Dr. Rowley said banking is something many Caribbean countries can continue to engage in to even assist in diversifying economies. He pointed to another example where many people from the region face difficulties simply opening a bank account.
The regulations should really encourage us to take part in banking. And to use your term, which is well known in the American banking system, is the unbanked. The presence and maintenance of a population of unbanked people. That is where the problem is. And that is what we should try to eliminate. But we are increasing it by the kinds of restrictions that are sometimes close to nonsensical.
The event is being co-chaired by Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, and U.S. Congresswoman Maxine Waters of the U.S. House Committee of Financial Services.
In Guyana, on Tuesday, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony revealed that between Good Friday to Wednesday, 0 COVID-19 vaccination had been recorded because no one visited any of the vaccination sites across the country and people are not turning up to get tested. Daniel Swain has the report.
So over the Easter holiday, we didn't do much vaccination, and that's because people weren't coming to any of the vaccination sites. So from Good Friday to now, we basically recorded 0 vaccination.
That was Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony during his daily COVID-19 update on Tuesday. As it is currently, a total of 439,205 adults, which is about 85.6%, have received their first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, while a total of 338,303, or 66%, have received their second dose. As it relates to adolescents, 34,416 persons, or 47.2%, between the ages of 12 and 17 received their first dose, while 27,166, or 34.5%, received their second dose.
So there is a lot more work to be done with this age group. Unfortunately, we have been seeing maybe like 100 to 200 vaccinations a day, and that includes both first and second doses. So that's pretty low.
In Antigua, advocacy is being made for effective education for children diagnosed with autism. More from ABS TV.
That's the view of speech-language pathologist Mona Gardner of CHATS, the Center for Holistic Advancement of Therapeutic Services. She says this is especially important as parents have fears their children with autism spectrum disorder will get left behind.
We now have to develop is an individualized education plan that meets the child's need where they are, so they may be able to focus on the core subjects like math and English. So what that may look like in the classroom is giving the child an aid where the aid is sitting specifically with the child to ensure that they're meeting their classroom goals to assist the teacher. So that's what it looks like in the classroom. It can be an aid in the classroom, or it can be an adjusted curriculum, individualized education plan to help that child meet their education needs.
Now, according to Gardner, assessing where the child is on the autism spectrum is not as easy as it sounds.
You have to consider the child's communication skills. So some children are verbal, some children are non-verbal. Some children, you have to look at their sensory processing, okay, how they're affected by the senses of the external factors. Some children are more affected or less affected. Then you have to look at their social skills. There's so many different variables on the spectrum that you have to look for.
Inclusion in traditional education settings is important, though. This is explained by Director of the St. Kitts Spectrum Services, Josephine Claxton Richardson.
I am really a fan of inclusion. I believe inclusive education is important, but I think one of the things we have to bear in mind is that the children are educated in the least restrictive environment. That's key. It's key that they're educated in an environment that will understand their needs and support their needs where they're at. And inclusion, we've got a long way to go.
Well, both Claxton Richardson and Gardner agree teachers of these children must be passionate and approach their tasks skillfully.
Local physician and social commentator Dr. Adrian Lord is predicting a further increase in daily COVID-19 numbers. Dr. Lord believes the real numbers will manifest in the coming days after the confirmation of the highly contagious nature of the new Omicron subvariant and numerous events staged over the long Easter weekend. Dr. Lord is also warning Barbadians against becoming complacent even as government relaxes the COVID-19 protocols. More from CBC Barbados.
I think we will see bigger numbers in the next couple of days if those people who have been infected are tested. These are only the reported cases, the persons who have been tested, so it might even be worse than what we are seeing now. But there were a lot of events over the weekend, and the Omicron variant, BA2, is 30% more contagious, so there's cause for concern. The government has relaxed the protocols, and I have no problem with that. But I think we as the population, we need to recognize that it's not life as usual. We're living in a pandemic. I hear people talk about post-COVID. There's no post-COVID. And we're not going to have post-COVID for a long time. So we need to not fall back into our old ways. We need to keep our mask on. We need to do all the things that we have to do to try to contain this surge that we are seeing right now.
In sports, the West Indies limited overs team is now without a captain after Pollard announced his retirement from international cricket on Wednesday. Pollard was a member of the 2012 West Indies team, which won the ICC T20 Men's World Cup when they defeated Sri Lanka. Pollard made his international debut for West Indies during the 2007 ICC Men's Cricket World Cup and played 123 ODIs. He made 2,706 runs with a top score of 119 against India in Chennai in 2011. He also took 55 wickets. Pollard played 101 T20 matches after making his debut in 2008 and scored 1,569 with a top score of 75 not out against New Zealand in Auckland in 2020 and took 42 wickets with best figures of 4 for 25 against Ireland and Warner Park, that is in St. Kitts in 2020. In his social media post on Wednesday, Pollard did not give specifics as to the reason for his retirement from international cricket. Cricket West Indies on Wednesday afternoon lauded him for his outstanding service as a player and captain of the regional side. CWI, which said Pollard had formally communicated the retirement news before making the farewell announcement on social media, added that it respected his decision. President of CWI, Ricky Skerritt, noted in a statement, quote, "We respect his decision to retire from international cricket and are especially grateful for the high quality of leadership and commitment he invested in both West Indies teams since his appointment as our white ball captain in September 2019. We wish him continued success in his career." End quote. Trinidad and Tobago have been drawn to play alongside the CONCACAF region's second-ranked team, while Jamaica and Haiti are in a group with the top-ranked United States in the final round of qualifying for next year's FIFA Women's World Cup. In Tuesday night's draw, the number 5 ranked Jamaica and Haiti, ranked 7th, were drawn in Group A with US and hosts Mexico 3rd. Trinidad and Tobago 8th are in Group B with Canada, 4th ranked Costa Rica, and 6th ranked Panama. The 8 teams will compete in the CONCACAF Women's Championship scheduled for July 4 to 18 in Monterrey, Mexico, which qualifies CONCACAF region teams for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, which will be held from July 20 to August 20 next year in Australia and New Zealand. The summer competition will kick off with round-robin group stage play, after which the top 2 teams in each group will move on to the semi-finals and in doing so qualify directly for the 2023 FWWC. The third-placed teams in each group will qualify for the 2023 FWWC Intercontinental Playoff. And with that, we call an end to today's newscast. On behalf of our entire news production team, thank you very much for watching. Remember, PBCJ is the People's Station.